Hey, Math Amigos, we're back again today to talk about lesson 4.3, day 2. Does listening to music improve GPA? So, we're going to take a look at 6 different proposed studies, and we're going to consider whether or not they are random samples, and we're also going to consider whether or not there was random assignment taking place. Now, for all 6, we're to make this assumption. It says, suppose that for each of the proposed studies, we found the mean GPA of students who listen to music is significantly higher than the mean GPA of students who didn't listen to music. So every time you go through a case, we are going to have it under this consideration that the GPA for those who listen to music is significantly higher than the GPA if they don't. So that's why I have this for you. This is for all 6 scenarios. So let's take a look at the first scenario. Get all the students in your statistics class to participate in a study. Ask them whether or not they study with music on and divide them into 2 groups based on their answer to this question. And you would definitely see an association if this statement was to be known to be true. Now, is this a random sample? No, not a random sample. We're just picking students in our statistics class, so it's probably a convenience sample. Is there a random assignment? No random assignment, because we didn't assign some to listen to music and some to not listen to music. We just had them all listen to music. So number 2, select a random sample of seniors from your school to participate in a study. Ask them whether or not they study with music and divide them into 2 groups based on their answer to the question. Okay, so is this a random sample? It says right here, a random sample of seniors. So apparently we're choosing them randomly. However, still not random assignment. We don't have some that are listening to music and some that aren't. So we don't have random assignment. Number 3, select a random sample of students from your school to participate in a study. Ask them whether or not they study with music on and divide them into 2 groups based on their answers to their questions. Okay, so here again, we do have an association based on this presumption up here. Random sample for sure, because it says you randomly selected students from the school. So in the previous question, we had randomly selected from seniors. So that's kind of a stratified from the whole school. This is if you put all the students together and not just grade levels. So you've got no for the random assignment because you're just putting them into 2 groups. You're not really testing to see if there's any change that takes place because of the music. Number 4, get all the students in your statistics class to participate in a study. Randomly assign half of the students to listen to music while studying for the entire semester, and then have the remaining half abstain from listening to music while studying. Okay, well, now we have random assignment because now we have randomly selected some students to study with music and some students to study without music. We don't have a random sample because we're selecting students from our class, so we got a convenient sample, but at least we could make a judgment call on whether or not the listening to music made a difference, and based on the previous presumption at the start, we would then find that listening to music while studying causes GPA to increase. Situation number 5, select a random sample of seniors from the school to participate in a study. Randomly assign half the students to listen to music while studying for the entire semester and have the remaining half abstain from listening to music while studying. So here we've got the random sample because we selected seniors. We randomly selected of that group of seniors. And we also did random assignment. We randomly assigned some to listen to music and some not to. In the end, based on the presumption at the start of this question, we would then find that listening to music while studying causes GPA to increase. Lastly, we got a situation with we're going to randomly select students from the school, any student, any grade, not just from our stats class, to participate in the study. Randomly assign half the students to listen to music and the other half are not. Well, here we do have the random sample because we randomly selected them. We also have random assignment because we separated them into 2 groups randomly, one to listen to music, one not to. And then we would find causation that listening to music while studying causes the GPA to increase. So in this case, we did a test on divided. After we divided them into two groups, we actually did a test on it. Whereas up here, we were just dividing them into two groups. So that's why this one had really no random assignment, and this one did. Okay, to the back side of your page, let's take a look at your notes. Not a lot of notes for this section for 4.3 day 2. Anyway, inference. If we have a random sample, we can generalize to an entire population. So if we take a random sample of the population, then our results can be generalized to be about the entire population. If we have a random assignment, that allows us to make cause and effect conclusions. So it could be a cause and effect, it could be a coincidence. We can make that decision if we have random assignment. But please realize that even if you have random assignment within a group, like let's say for our statistics class where we might have a random assignment there, we don't necessarily have a situation where we can apply that to the general population, because you would have to have a random sample and a random assignment in order to make cause and effect conclusions about a population. How about this concept of data ethics? We have 3 data ethics situations in your book. First of all, before you conduct a survey or a test of some kind like this statistically, they recommend that actually you have to go through an institutional review of it to make sure that it's not going to violate any ethical procedures. Secondly, you need to have informed consent. So the person has to be able to understand what you're telling them that they're going to be doing to participate in your study or experiment or whatever it is. And they have to consent to it. If they don't consent, then you can't use them in your study. Or if they're not able to understand, like maybe they just don't speak the same language, or maybe they're too young to understand what you are saying, and so that in those cases you cannot use them for your study. Thirdly, it has to be confidential for individuals. So when you get individual data, you cannot put that data out on your survey and say, okay, this person had this situation and these results. It has to be done as a group. You can use that person's information, but you can't present that person specifically in your study. You have to present your entire group in your study. Lastly, let's take a look at checking for understanding. Okay, so let's see. You got a situation here when an athlete suffers a sports-related concussion. Does it help to remove the athlete from play immediately? Researchers recruited 95 athletes seeking care for a sports-related concussion at a medical clinic and followed their progress during recovery. Researchers found statistically significant evidence that athletes who were removed from play immediately following the injury, on average, they recovered much more quickly than the students who were allowed to continue to play. So we have a couple of issues with this. First of all, the researchers recruited 95 athletes that were seeking care. So these were athletes that were already injured, and they were injured to the point where they were actually seeking care about that. So it's clearly not a random sample. Furthermore, researchers found evidence that athletes who were removed from the play immediately recovered more quickly. That's not a random assignment, because you would have to have some athletes stay in the game injured to be able to compare. Now, we would never do that because that would be unethical. So you really wouldn't be able to have a random assignment in a study like this. But you can make an observation, and that's kind of the purpose of it, is to make an observation. All right, what conclusion can we draw from this study? Explain your answer. Well, we can't make inference about the population or the cause and effect, because we don't have random sample, and we don't have random sample, we don't have random assignment. So we can't make an inference about the population, which would be something we could do if we had a random sample, and we can't make a cause and effect inference because we don't have random assignment. All we can say is that the athletes in this study recovered more quickly if removed from play. So we can make that observation. but we can't project it into the population. Would it be ethical to conduct an experiment to answer this question? Absolutely not. It would not be ethical to assign some athletes to continue playing after they're injured in order to satisfy our study. Okay, last question here. Number 2, can eating nuts during pregnancy help children avoid nut allergies? Researchers studied over 8,000 children who were born in the early 1990s to mothers who were part of the Nurses' Health Study 2. Children whose mothers ate the most nuts during pregnancy, at least 5 times per week, were significantly less likely to develop nut allergies than children whose mothers ate the least amount of nuts during pregnancy, less than 1 per month. Does this study show that eating nuts during pregnancy causes a reduced risk of nut allergies? No, we can't say that because we did not have random assignment, so we can't make that conclusion. Part B, would it be ethical to conduct an experiment to explain this question? No, it would not, because the babies are receiving the treatment and they can't give informed consent. They're babies, so they can't give informed consent. So no, that would not be an ethical situation. So that concludes our lesson for today, guys. So hope you're doing well. And we have the end. We are reaching the end of chapter 4 now. So we have review. We have coming up. We have review and we have closure. So I hope you're doing well, and keep sending in questions if you have questions, or text if you have if you want to have a meeting or something. We can set up meetings for you. We'll take care of you the best that we can. But this is your math teacher, Mr. Murphy, signing off from Oshkosh North. Stay awesome, Spartans.